Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 114. It's Iliya here and it's once again a pleasure to have you on my channel. As you know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. So actually exactly yesterday I published a trade setups breakdown video, so make sure to check that out because I break down all of my trades in great detail. So that's gonna be amazing video to watch. Even before or after the weekly outlook and setups, you decide, but I'm gonna leave a link in the top right corner or whatever it is, so make sure to check that out, right? So this week was pretty nice. We had some amazing opportunities, some nice trending markets across almost all the currency pairs. So we're gonna have a look at that right now. And August is coming to an end. August has been an exceptionally great month. To be honest, usually it's said that it's like summertime and the banks are on a break or something like this. And usually the market tends to slow down, but it's been an insane month. And right now we're getting into September, which is also pretty exciting. So I'm pretty excited to actually be back at the market. It was my first week of trading and finishing with around 20R. So that is very, very, very nice. Cool. So if you're new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share this weekly outlook and setups every Saturday. And once per week, I share a trade setups breakdown video or an educational piece of content. So make sure you are subscribed. Hit the notification bell in order not to miss all the future updates that are incoming. And before we start, I want to mention that I've been trading some cryptos and I do it with Forex.com. It's an amazing broker with great spread. But what is also amazing in that is that if you pick their eco account, every single lot that you trade goes towards planting 10 trees. So I really think that's an amazing initiative. It's one of a kind initiative. So make sure to support them. Link is down in the description. Check them out. And if you already did, let's see what do we have for this week. Alright, as always, who is our best friend? It's the DXY. Let's have a look where we can potentially go because we're having an overall tricky situation right now. So again, I'm not gonna go into great top-down analysis. You know the drill. Right here, we created this lower high, then the market failed to make a new lower low. Basically, we're currently trading within this shift of market structure. And also the market actually broke above this high, which has been a target that I've been calling for quite some time. And yes, I do consider the dollar to be bullish. The biggest question right now, and the thing that I do not like too much about the dollar, is that after this massive impulse to the upside, we got a little bit compressed. Right here, then we pushed into the highs, and right now we're strongly pushing into the lows. So is this structure right there, this higher low, and potentially this little higher low right there gonna hold in order for the market to continue higher and then to potentially target those levels right there? We shall see in the upcoming weeks, not to say in the upcoming week actually, all right? Because what is interesting is that currently we're having an inside bar candle, okay? So what I keep telling you about those candles is that you mark the high and the low of the mother candle, and we can potentially expect a breakout in some of the directions, okay? So then jumping to the daily and taking all of this knowledge, again, we're perfectly bullish, respecting market structure. There was our previous higher low right here, respected break of structure, perfect, pullback, higher low, beautiful higher high. So where does that higher low originate from? Right here, which is also a full hourly level. And right now, just on Friday after the news, we are tapping inside this level. Okay, so that is a really tricky situation right now because a lot of things can happen. Okay, we can definitely respond from this level and continue higher. We also could dip a little bit lower and then again pump higher because again there are some levels that are unretested exactly right here. Okay, so if you have a look, this big momentous push initiated from this sort of range. It can either be this candle right there or it might be this little higher low that has been left unretested. Okay, so basically I still remain bullish on the dollar, but the biggest question is where is the higher time frame gonna turn? I mean the daily and the weekly. Okay, and then if you drop on the 4-hourly time frame, it also makes a lot of sense. Let me just delete those arrows. There is that big sell-off, and then we had a massive buy that broke structure. Then the market started pulling back. Basically, our whole week was a pullback. On the 23rd, we had this pullback. Push to the upside, lower high, lower low, lower high. Then we started to consolidate a little bit, which basically created a beautiful range, which most of the time ranges are also liquidity. And right now, just on Friday, we're having this massive spike to the downside. What you can see happened first is the market took the high of the range, and right now we massively dipped below the range. Okay, So my biggest question right now coming into Monday, Tuesday is, first of all, is this level gonna hold right here? Okay, I do believe being the weekly low as well, the previous weekly low, we might actually fake it. And then if we see a structure shift, then of course I'm gonna go with the longs. But if you clearly close below it, then I'm gonna keep taking shorts, something like this towards that level. And then from there, I'm gonna see if we're gonna have any reversals. Okay, so again, slightly tricky situation in the DXY, but my overall analysis is keeping those two levels right here, okay? Because also if we take that whole range from the low to the high, you can see that we're just tapping below the 50%, which makes this an amazing long setup, okay? But again, the question is right now, are we gonna respect this level or are we gonna dip a little bit lower, okay? So again, thought process will be to just see how everything goes out. Right now, massive sellers. Potentially, I do think that this will be a nice fake setup, because everybody right now will be looking for the retest and a continuation. But if we start having something like this, that will be absolutely lovely. Okay, so keeping that in mind, that overall right now, the shorter term on the dollar is bearish, but we are sitting at a hard time frame demand areas. We just have to let the price decide, tell us what it wants to do, and then we just have to flow with it. Okay, so guys, keep those two levels in, monitor how the market reacts, and as soon as you see a bullish shift of market structure, then we can definitely strike for the longs. And of course, stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis, where I'm gonna show you what happened on Monday and what we can potentially expect further in the week. Let's have a look at EU. Weekly time frame, we do not have a pretty much inside bar like the DXY, because we just broke the weekly high at the end of the week. But yes, currently it's a pretty tricky situation, because again, if you remember, the targets were met right here and we also closed below this one, which kind of signifies bearishness. But then the other question comes, if that swing starts from here and ends right there, are we gonna pull back towards the 50% to potentially create that pullback towards 1.21 or at least like 1.20, and then to potentially reverse, which means that we have a lot of pips to the upside on EU. And I do believe we're gonna see this in the upcoming week, so I do not want to call anything major. But let me just point out some things. Again, if you remember from the daily, I was calling out this little supply candle right there, which is where the lower high originated from. We had a beautiful push to the downside that created the lower low, and then we started the week with a lot of bullishness. Look at Monday, massive push. Tuesday, pull back to the upside, bullishness. Wednesday, pull back to the downside, bullishness. A little slowdown on Thursday, and Friday threw the market up, meaning that all the supply from this candle right here was taken. And I do believe that maybe we're actually gonna close above it. And if we close above it, then of course we have other potential lower highs to look at. But this structure being broken means that potentially we might be entering into a reversal phase. So we might have something like this. Again, a little head and shoulders, continuation higher, and then potentially the market is just gonna kind of break above this trend line, start heading higher, and then potentially reverse from 1.20, as I told you. So again, you can see that we're having a lot of interesting situations right there on EU, but I'm still gonna keep, let's say, I'm still gonna keep this overall daily lower high right there, because this is a pretty strong supply area that we can look at. So let's jump onto the 4 hourly. As you can see, again, I also had this 4 hourly candle right here. The market tapped it many times. Like first time, absorbed the orders. Second time, tapped with a break of structure, which just remained the market bullish. Pulled back in a very corrective manner, which was just shouting longs, 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 longs. Okay, and then what I actually told my community in the morning is that we're having an overall bullish market, basically a pretty bullish pattern that looks like this. Like we have consolidation, sell-off, push to the upside, consolidation, tap, and reversal. There it is, your consolidation, push to the downside that took liquidity, impulse to the upside, corrective price action, tapping into this little sell right there, and then we impulse to the upside, which is exactly what happened. It was a little bit too hard to get an entry because it was like with the news right here, but again, if you start dropping to the lower time frames, you can always catch one, but it's slightly risky, of course. So with all those news, it makes the situation slightly bit difficult to read. So again, I'm always utilizing my just the flow concept that I have. I just do not forecast, and I just let the market tell me what it wants to do. Okay, so the first target that I'm going to be looking at is this high, because this high still hasn't been taken, and if this high actually is nicely closed above, then I do think that we are ready to actually go up. Currently, my area for potential higher low is this one, this big wick, because that big wick right here, or this little range, created that beautiful higher low which broke structure right here. So again, a couple of scenarios that we can expect on EU. There are actually a lot again. So again, there it comes, you're actually the flow of the market. So basically, I would love if the market starts with a pullback, because then I'm going to be looking for longs anywhere around these areas. Again, feel free to drop your Fibonacci. Below 50% is your highest probability area to look for longs. But something else could happen. We can initiate with a bullish market into the highs, and then we can potentially have a nice pullback. Like Monday can start to the upside, then Tuesday can give us the short. Let's say like Wednesday and Thursday we can short the market all the way down, and then Friday potentially can be a pump day, kind of a reversal. So this could be some sort of a profile that we can expect. But as for right now, my immediate analysis is of course longs, because the market is just showing me longs. But of course, first of all, what do I need is I need a pullback. I need a higher low. Where do I want to see the higher low? Somewhere right here. Again, taking my range like this, I want to see a pullback below 50%. In case, again, if the market pumps into the highs first, then I'm going to be looking for the market to show me reversal signals to change the structure, and then I'm going to take a short into that level again, which is going to change like this, and then potentially I'm going to start preparing for longs from here. Okay, so that is my plan on EU. But again, guys, just flow with the market. Let's see how it opens. Again, stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis, where I'm gonna break down everything again. But overall, again, on EU, interesting times are ahead, because if the market really reverses, I do believe we can actually take out all of this price action right here and come to fill all the way this level right here, which is at 1.21. So that is going to be huge. I do not want to call it from right now, but just seeing how the market is going right now, perfectly reversing to bullish structure, I'm quite excited to see how it's going to play out. So let's see. As you can see, also Euro Yen is pretty bullish. We're having a bullish engulfing candle this week after this massive pump to the downside, which looks like a pullback. And again, if we just take the low of the swing to the high, you can see that we were dipping below the 50%. And I always tell you, a dip below the 50% is enough to actually start looking for longs, okay? So from the weekly time frame, we can see a lot of bullishness. Daily time frame, you can see that the overall lower high is exactly right here. But what you can see again is that we're entering with a lot of bullishness, okay? Like we had a push down, but the push up was the same strength as the push down, which is not nice. Usually what I love to see is a massive pump down and a very corrective push up for the pullback, okay? But right here, we're having that V shape, a push down and then a strong push up, which means that the buyers are the same strength as the sellers, which means that we can potentially also have a reversal, okay? And as you can see, we got into this range very strongly. Then on Thursday, we rejected. On Friday, we also rejected, but I just do not see the sellers coming in. 4 hourly time frame, we had some lovely longs to be taken right here. You can see that this wick right here was a structural point in the lower time frame. It got tapped perfectly to create the high low formation. We pushed up, we pulled back. Another high low formation with the lower time frames right there. A massive pump to the upside that gave us just a pullback. And yes, right now we're just staying inside this range right here. So let's see how we can approach this market. Again, where is the potential, where is the major structure? So this one right here is not major. Why? Because it hasn't made a higher high. Okay, so that means that our major structure is right here, where the actual move initiated to the upside, and we also broke structure right there. Okay, so currently I'm looking at this market as a bullish market. Although we're tapping supply, the supply will be just a cause for the market to potentially pull back to give us the long. Okay, so let's see how this is gonna play out. But basically, this is the level that I'm potentially gonna be looking at. Sometimes, of course, the market, all it needs is to pull back to the 50%, which we already did, and maybe the market is already gonna pump to the upside. So let's see. But if it doesn't, then of course I'm gonna be looking for the market to dip again into some of those levels, shift the structure, and then to potentially see the prices go higher. Okay. Another situation that could happen is, again, the market can open in a bullish manner to immediately break the structure. Then that means that this area right here is going to become our higher low. So if we have something like this, then I'm going to be taking shorts towards that area, and then from there I'm going to be taking longs. Okay, and this is how you flow with the market. But right now, keeping in mind that we're tapping into supply, but we're not reacting too much, there is our major higher low. So if the market gives me a pullback, then definitely I'm going to go with the long bias. So let's see how EJ is going to play out this week. Let's have a look at the Aussies. And if you guys remember from the previous outlook, what I told you about having huge bearish or bullish candles, usually they're going to be followed up by a bullish candle that is a pullback. Okay, and we're having exactly that this week. However, it's slightly a bit more specific because I've been calling this little range right there for quite some time, and we're just tapped inside with a massive sell candle, and right now we have a big bullish candle printing, which is also an inside bar. So what I tell you constantly about inside bars is mark the high, mark the low, and expect the breakout. And it makes a lot of sense for the breakout to be to the upside, but still we are overall bearish, okay? Although we are gonna see that we're changing the structure to the upside, we are still kind of bearish. So let's see how this market is gonna respond. It is very interesting because even on EU, as I told you, we're starting to see some bullishness. That means that the DXY should start going down. So very interesting times are ahead. But yes, the Aussie, since opening on the 23rd, we printed a big bullish candle. And I told you again that I'm going to be looking for the market to pull back towards the 50%. And as you can see, yes, we pulled back. So we could have taken a lot of longs on the way up. Then we kind of tried to pull back. But I'm going to show you right now that on the full hourly, the market completely turned. Okay, and we did not see any reasons to actually short this market because the only supply that I saw was right here. But as you can see, again, the market just broke through it, okay? Absorbed the orders for a little bit and then just continued carrying on to the upside, which means that it was just bullish, okay? Then we had that day of a pullback, which just gave us a deeper pullback to tap into an hourly level of demand, which I'm going to show you right now. It's this one, and as you can see how we tapped into with the supply and demand concept that I told you in my supply and demand video, range, a big sell-off, and then a massive buy, and then we also pulled back for another potential long trade, and right now we're massively imposing to the upside, okay? So basically this is how AU is sitting right now, extremely bullish. Where is my higher low formation? Well, yeah, I'm gonna take it again like this. I'm gonna embrace this little candle right here, the wick, and this overall candles right there, because this is where the actual move initiated, and this is where we also broke structure, okay? So currently we are about to tap into daily supply, and also I can see that we have just a little bit of a slowdown right there on the 4-hourly, which also makes it a nice supply area. So what I would love to see is for us, for example, to tap inside this level and then to initiate a pullback to the downside, and then to potentially give a long and see if we're really going to be reversing to the upside on AU. Or of course, I'm going to be taking shorts if the market comes inside right here and really shows me the reversal. Then I'm going to be riding it towards the 50% of this leg, something like this. And then I'm going to just stop and readjust and see if the market is going to continue going down, or are we going to find support and continue to pump to the upside. Okay, so absolutely simple, guys. Keep it simple. Daily supply, full hourly supply. The market is currently moving up, so we follow the flow on the hourly time frame. Nothing changes. I'm looking for shorts from the supply and longs from the demand, or below 50% of this range. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so of course, let's see how the market is going to develop. Are we going to go with a straight pullback to the downside, or are we first going to tap inside this level so we can then start looking for some shorts into our long areas? We shall see. So let's flow with the market, keep those levels on, and let's see how they're going to play out. Aussie JPY, pretty much the same situation right here. Tapping inside a weekly level, which is not pretty visible, but yes, we're potentially having this big wick right there. And if we go on the daily, we might see some sort of a slowdown right there, which is not entirely clear, to be honest. But yes, same story. We're having this big daily lower high that the market is currently traveling towards. We are already above the 50% range, which is also lovely. But then dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame, we are completely bullish. Okay, and as you can see, where is the 23rd? There is the 23rd, push to the upside, pull back, another push to the upside. We tap into the supply that is right here, but we just react from it, break structure to the upside like this, and then what do? We pull back into the lower high, which is right here, and we were given a beautiful long setup. Okay, so very simply on this pair, guys, what I'm doing is I'm just following it. I am just following until it changes the structure, because right now we have another structure break to the upside, a new high, and as long as the market pulls back towards some of those levels, I'm gonna be looking for the longs, okay? And then of course, as I told you, this is the daily supply. We can start seeing some accumulation or some kind of supply, some changes of structure right there. But until we get there, I'm gonna be longing the market as long as it's bullish, okay? So 4-hourly time frame, perfectly bullish. We can also expect a little reaction from here, which is where like the hourly time frame really moved to the upside. If this doesn't react, we have the lower one. And of course, always draw your range. And I do believe this should be below the 50%. It exactly is right here. Okay, so looks like a pretty good setup, this one. Let's see if we're gonna have first the pullback, or first we're gonna carry on a little bit to the upside, then potentially initiate the pullback, because again, I keep telling you, if we initiate to the upside, then we can potentially take the retracement trades to the downside into our buy areas, and then we can potentially start looking for longs. Okay, so that is my outlook on the Aussies. Both are looking pretty bullish, both need a pullback right now, so let's see how they're gonna play out and how we can catch those trades. Let's have a look at the NZDs, which are also in a pretty tricky and significant situation. Another inside bar. Again, I kept telling you, after a bearish candle, usually we have a pullback or a wick or something like this. And I'm not sure if this is a pullback or a reversal. Okay, we are gonna be seeing this in the upcoming days. So then going on to the daily, again, we're just about to tap. We're actually just tapping inside this area and also filling this wick. So perfectly tapping into daily supply on NU, and that is pretty important. Okay, we are extremely bullish coming into that area. Again, what I don't like is that we're having a straight push down and then a straight push up. Usually I don't like this V kind of formations. I usually want to see a push and then a corrective pullback to the upside, but we do not have this one right now. So keeping in mind that we're tapping into a very strong daily supply, we're also having this little 4 hourly level right there that we're tapping into. But look, how do we tap, man? This is so bullish. Okay, so again, where is our higher low? Well, I'm gonna take it like this whole range right here. So basically right now we're stuck between those two ranges. So we have the daily, which is the major, and we have the 4 hourly, which is the kind of the minor compared to the daily, but we're overall moving up. Okay, so I keep longing this market until it reverses. And usually, guys, at such areas like daily areas or weekly even, we're gonna reverse in a very slow manner. Okay, so what we can do right now is, yes, we can take the shorts, we can come inside, we can react, then we can come up, then we can change structure, we can do something like this, then we can pull back again, and then we can actually reverse. Okay, so we can actually then we turn into the demand, then the demand pushes, but we fail to break structure. So it's going to be really significant that this level right here holds, because if this level actually is violated to the upside, then potentially the shorts are also invalidated. But if we have a reaction right now, then if we tap into demand, we pull back, we created the shift formation, then we push structure down again, then we take a short from here, and then we can potentially head to the downside. And even if this holds, we can target a new daily lower low, which is too kind of far away in time, but we shall see. So currently, again, the analysis is pretty simple. Shorts from right here, if given the confluence, which is going to be pretty hard to see because after this massive pump to the upside, we're definitely going to be needing some time. Have a look at this beautiful range, which is a beautiful flat high right here as well. So this is definitely going to get taken into the beginning of the week. Then we can have something like this, and then push to the downside, and then from the long area I'm gonna be going long and just seeing how everything is gonna react. Okay, so keep those two levels right here and let's see how it's gonna play out. My textbook setup will be maybe first a manipulation up, a pull back down, then potentially longs from here, and then when I take my long, I'm gonna see how I can manage it to the upside. And if of course the market fails to make a new high, this is going to be a great sign that maybe we are about to reverse, and keep following this daily structure. Okay, so that's it for now. Let's wait for the market to show us and let's see how it's going to play out. NZD/JPY, pretty much the same. Although we might have a little bit more space to tap into the daily supply right here. You can see that if I take those two bullish candles, or just where that lower high was created, massive pump to the downside that broke structure again. V formation, not a strong push and a very corrective price action to the upside, which is something that I do not like. Again, quite some long opportunities to take on the way up, and as you can see, we created this higher low formation right here, push to the upside, higher high, beautiful higher low, tapping back into the demand, and a massive impulse to the upside. So currently, where is our higher low formation? It's right here. We just moved the line. There it is. And yes, exactly the same as on AU and AJ. We have a break of structure to the upside with a lot of momentum. We have our levels right here. So if the market pulls back right there, I'm going to be looking for the long setups into that daily supply. If first the daily supply taps, then it's going to be a completely different story, because then we can look for the shorts, or of course the market can, it's pretty hard to do a forecast because the market can go in numerous ways. And this is why I'm not a fan of forecasting. I'm just a fan of reacting and not thinking too much about it, because the more you think about it, the more you're going to complicate things and the more you're going to miss out on trades and just marry your forecasts. Okay, So currently, shorter term, I am looking for longs, but first of all, I need to see a pullback below the 50%. We also have a very little candle right there that could act as demand as well. So let's see how this is gonna play out. If we first initiate bearish, it's gonna be lovely. So I'm gonna be looking for the longs. But if you first initiate bullishly, then I might start looking right here to see if we're gonna have any structure shifts to potentially show me some sellers, and then I'm gonna take a sell into my buy area, which is then gonna look something like this. So let's see. Stay tuned for the Tuesday analysis and let's see how it's gonna play out. USD JPY is having a little bit of a hard time to move outside of this range, and as you can see this week we're having another yes, long leg doji or spinning top or whatever it is, but it's just an indecisive candle. Okay, so we do not know where to go. And if you remember from my past outlook, I told you that the situation is pretty tricky because we broke structure to the downside, but then we broke structure to the upside as well. So the low was taken, the high was taken, and right now we're just compressing inside this whole range. Okay, so there is no daily direction on the daily. Yeah, there is no daily direction on USD JPY, so it's pretty hard to figure out where are we going. If you remember, my outlook was pretty much yeah, I deleted it, but what I spoke about that's gonna happen, it happened pretty nicely. Like we pulled back to the downside, then we reversed the structure, we pulled back, and then we pumped up, but we actually never broke above those highs. As you can see, we're just leaving wicks above. The supply that was respected was right here, although we nicely wicked below it. Now we still held. But yes, UJ right now, it's a complete mess. And as you can see, we can just drop it like this as a consolidation. Maybe enlarge this a little bit and maybe enlarge that a little bit like this. And yes, currently, if I really zoom in, we're having this little demand right here, because this is the sell before a big buy that didn't really break structure, but it's still valid. And if you drop to the hourly time frame, you can see that it just doesn't make too much sense. Okay, so on UJ, for the UJ lovers, I would say wait for something clear. Okay, wait for a direction. Definitely looks like that there is a battle between the US and the JPY. The JPY is also a pretty tricky currency, so when this one goes, it goes. But we can see right now that for example, EJ started really strong. AJ is also starting pretty strong. All the JPYs are going really strong to the upside, while the dollar is bearish. So that means that this one is gonna consolidate, which is usually what happens for some correlation purposes. So basically, yes, on UJ, I do not have much to say. I'm just looking for something clearer, and then potentially I'm gonna strike once it makes more sense. Alright, let's have a look at the GBP, starting from GU on the weekly time frame. Again, if you remember from the previous outlook, I told you that after this big bearish candle, I do expect a pullback, either a wick pullback or a full candle, and we're having a full candle. Okay, so this again, is this a reversal or is this a pullback in order for the market to continue down? This is the biggest question right now, which we're gonna see in the upcoming days. Dropping onto the daily time frame, what is very interesting to note is that this daily lower high right here, so if you remember, lower high, lower low, it was broken to the upside. And that is a lot of introduction of bullishness, okay? So what the market did right now, it pulled back all the way to the origin of this kind of higher low formation, retested it, and right now it looks like we're heading higher, okay? And this is a daily setup, which is pretty important. So we can definitely expect some higher prices on GU as well. But if you also see, we are still trending to the downside on the daily, because although this is a big push and a very nice complex correction, which is exactly what I want to see, we are still kind of a little bit bearish. So again, only time will show us if this market is gonna reverse like that. So basically this week we opened a little bit bullishly and then we consolidated. Again, if you haven't checked my trade setups breakdown video, make sure to do so, because I broke down my entries and trades on GU, which were lovely and packed with value. So make sure to do that. But yes, basically this big wick right there was the supply. And as you can see, the market tapped inside, absorbed some orders, consolidated, and then usually that is a pretty familiar thing for GU. We consolidate, we push into the highs to let a lot of buyers know that we're pushing up, break of structure, so the buy stops were triggered, pullback, retest. A lot of retest traders are entering to potentially go higher, but nope, we break lower. So what everybody thinks is that we are breaking structure, sell stops are triggered, and the stop losses of the buyers are triggered as well. So new sellers are entering the market, retest traders right here as well, pullback traders right there, and then the market then just decides to reverse. So that is a really familiar pattern that happens a lot on GU. But again, not to go into great details, just zoom in, guys. What is happening right now? There is your breakout structure. That is a new higher high. Where is your higher low? Well, it's right here. There's your major higher low. So what is basically my outlook for next week is longs. We broke structure to the upside. So what I want to see is, again, as always, I drop my range from the low to the high, and I want to see the market dip below the 50%, and then potentially I am gonna start looking for the longs. Nothing too much to say. Again, I do think that we might actually have a big bullish leg up, and if the market just continues to trend to the highs, I'm gonna keep longing. Okay, keep in mind the daily demand, but as I keep telling you, those supply levels can just be a reaction point. So we can have like this beautiful long, tap into this one, then maybe give some shorts, but then it's just gonna create a higher low right here where we took the long, and then we're gonna impulse into the highs and take out all of this trend line and maybe even make a new higher high. Okay, so it's very interesting to see what is going to happen on GU coming into September. So currently, very simple analysis. Let's see if we have a pullback. If we first initiate higher, that's also going to be fine, because then we can look for the reversal trades and like kind of a retracement back into this area, which is going to be adjusted like this. So then a dip below the 50%, and then from there we can start looking for the longs. Okay, but for right now, immediate term, I'm looking for the pullback and then potentially longs from right there. GJ, kind of the similar situation. If you jump on the weekly time frame, you can see that we're sitting in this it's not even demand, it's more like a support for quite some time. Like first tap, higher high, beautiful, pullback, nice, big higher high, pullback again, failed to break below, which is pretty important, push up, but then we also failed to break above on that daily resistance right there. So very tricky situation on GJ in terms of the higher time frame direction. But if you zoom in, let's see what happened right now. Again, let's keep it simple. 4 hours. Where is our lower high? It was right there. What happened? We tapped inside, absorbed the orders, tap inside, absorb a little bit more, and then we just broke through it. Okay? And also, not only we broke, but we closed above this level. Yes, we do close. Yes, so basically this right now is a higher high. So where is your higher low? Well, it can either be this one right here, or you can either take this one right here, which is kind of the one that actually broke structure. And what the market did, it perfectly went inside to create a higher low formation, failed to break below, and right now we are on the way up to potentially create a full hourly higher high. So again, the bias is buys on GJ. The question is, how are we going to approach this one? Well, two things can happen. The market can either just from here continue to push into the highs, make a new higher high. So now I have to do, wait for the pullback and then go long. But what could also happen, and what I would advise you to do so, is drop to the hourly and search for an area, maybe even to the lower time frames, and search for an area for a potential long. Maybe this one, okay? So if the market opens in a bearish manner, pulls back a little bit, taps inside some of those levels, then reverses, take your long, and then ride it into the highs for a new potential full hourly higher high, okay? So that is the first scenario, and then the second scenario will be if we potentially continue to push into the highs, create a new higher high, and then we can potentially even take retracement trades on the way down, and then to potentially pump into the highs again, okay? So those are the two options for GJ. Of course, the third option is to completely break this level and then to go short, but currently we're perfectly trading to the upside, so there is no need to be looking at the shorts. But of course, always have it on the back of your mind, okay? So hopefully that is clear on GJ, two situations, and Euro GBP, GA. If you know, guys, this is my favorite pair. If you've been watching me consistently, this is the pair that I never know what's gonna happen. But yes, currently we're tapping into this daily demand, but look the way we're tapping, like it's way too huge, okay? Yes, we had this range right here, and the market is right now just massively dumping inside this level. So a couple of things could happen. We can right now initiate a pullback, respect this level right there, and then continue going lower. I would love to see the market actually close below this level, then potentially initiate a pullback, and then I'm gonna take it from the lower high. Or we can, of course, find support and start shifting to the upside and continue going higher. Okay, three situations, and I'm not loving GA at all. So I always love your feedback on GA and on Gold, which are the pairs that I do not trade too much. But yes, this is my outlook on GA. Tapping into daily demand level right here with a very strong push to the downside. So let's see how it's going to react. But eventually shorts from here, if the market pulls back in the manner that I love to see it, which you know it's corrective, And if we also break below this level, that's going to be lovely because that is going to confirm a new lower low. And then we can potentially, of course, look for the pullback. Okay. So that is GA and Euro GBP. The same analysis remains because yes, we opened right here, 23rd. The high still remained, although we kind of took out this high by very little right there, but it's still something. We pulled back, we just dipped below the 50% with this week, and since then we have been ranging pretty much. Okay, so I would still love to see this market pull back a little bit, maybe even to fulfill that wick right there, which is an unretested wick. Currently, I do not also see shorts because simply there is no shorts in this market. If you drop on the hourly time frame, it is a complete mess according to me. No hard highs to be looking for longs. I do not see any longs at all. So basically what I want to see on this market is another dip to the downside, potential reversal, and then to potentially see it go higher. Okay. Or a complete reversal to the downside to see it go lower, because right now it doesn't make too much sense to me at all. And if it doesn't make sense to me, guess what? I just skip the chart. Okay. So that is Euro GBP, same analysis again. Let's see how it's going to play out. Overall, the GBPs are looking bullish bias on GJ, potentially breaking above 152, 151, something like 151,500, and creating a new 4-hourly high. And GU as well carrying on to the upside until we tap into the daily supply where we have to readjust a little bit. So those are the GBPs. Let's see how they're going to play out. And as always, stay tuned for my Tuesday outlook on Telegram. Let's have a look at gold. We're having a massive bullish week this week after this big liquidity grab. We slowed down for a little bit and we actually had a pretty lovely long setup on gold. Again, have a look. On Monday, we had a beautiful break of structure. And if you remember that little liquidity, that little slowdown, I told you that is going to get taken. Just the question was if we're going to pull back a little bit more and then push, or are we just going to break it straight through it. We did this, then we had 2 days of pullback, 3 days of slowdown, and then actually on Friday we exploded to the upside. And basically as well was the setup, is we had this taken out with a massive impulse to the upside, then a pretty nice corrective price action coming all the way down to retest the newly created demand. So this one is no longer relevant. We tap inside, reaction, pulled back again, we accumulated right there. So go and search what is inside those wicks, because inside those wicks is actually your entry on the lower time frames. And yes, right now what is the situation is we're having another high, and yes, basically this big wick, we're having another new kind of candle. And if you jump on the hourly, you can see that this is the overall level that I would love to trade from, which is exactly this wick right there. What you can also do is you can take 50% of the wick like this and trade from it. But yes, basically my outlook on gold is bullish, and I do think that we're going to take out those highs as well. So let's see if we're going to have any pullback towards that level and then potentially to see some higher prices. So that is my outlook on gold. Let me know what you guys think, and I really hope you actually capitalize on this beautiful long right there. Not a very big week for the indices. We're having an overall inside bar on US 30, which means that potentially next week, knowing that the bias is bullish, we can be targeting a new all-time highs. But yes, an overall little pullback right there, nothing too much on the daily. 4-hourly time frame just pulled back towards this little demand candle. We tapped inside on the 26th and then we potentially reacted to the upside, but nothing too major. And I would definitely expect potentially next week to actually give us that pump to the upside. Of course, it depends on the fundamentals, but looking at everything, it looks pretty bright. And as you can see, yes, we, after taking this liquidity, tapping inside this level, we shifted the structure, and right now everything is pointing to the upside. Okay, so let's see if we're gonna have maybe a little opportunity to go long on US 30, but definitely looking for the longs. Nasdaq is already on the move. Yes, massive. Even from the 20th, we started pushing up, and then on Monday we just broke through it, and then we have a little pullback, and then already continuing higher. So basically on this one, before going for a nice long, we have a couple of areas that are newly created. So basically those two right here are invalid. This one is also invalid because we have actually broken above it. This is a break of structure to the upside. And yes, right now we shall be seeing some little correction to some of those levels and then to potentially see a new push up. Okay. So let's wait for that. Of course, the range also works on every pair. So we did below the 50%. It's going to be absolutely lovely. So let's see if we're going to have this in the upcoming weeks. S&P as well, after that manipulation down, after missing my long, which was a nice dip of around 30%. We have a massive pump up, little pullback right there, another high, so it just keeps pumping up. Okay, so I'm gonna be interested to buy from this little demand that was created, which is also kind of a daily, 4 hourly, maybe 8 hourly. Let me see, I'm just looking for one candle, but yes, something like this. I'm looking to buy from there. Currently, again, sitting at all-time highs, so I would much appreciate a deeper pullback of this range, something like this, and then to potentially invest a little bit more. Okay, keep in mind that a crash should be incoming. Come on, like this is just too much of a push. But of course, let's see how everything is gonna go and keep the compounding going. Bitcoin and the cryptos are still staying in that daily supply, as I kept mentioning. Haven't invested again. I just took some profits right there. Just sold some of my holdings. And yes, still in a pretty bullish environment. Right now we're tapping inside. We're slowly kind of having some intraday setups right there, as you can see. How the market breaks structure on the 4 hourly, pulls back, lower high, lower low, pulls back for a lower high. And yes, if you jump on the hourly time frame or even lower, you can definitely capitalize on this one. But I'm not really swing or intraday trading crypto, just kind of investing more like a position or long-term swing, I would say. But yes, again, I'm interested to trade this one from daily levels as well. So basically, if you have a look at that whole push to the upside, you can see that 50% is around 40K. And as you can see, where I have my alert. I do not think that this is gonna tap soon, if we stay above this daily structure, which is basically, if I take it like this is currently our daily demand. So let's see how it's gonna react, guys. I see a lot of people also looking on the weekly that we're in this stage of like we had that climax, then we have a little pullback. Everybody thinks that this is again a bottom to create a new high. Then we have a pullback, so basically we can find the resistance and then push to the downside and then accumulate and then have the cycle again. Okay, so maybe we can even have something like this. So let's see. With crypto, you never know. So my biggest tip is always take your profits and don't be a big hodler. Okay. But basically, this is my outlook currently in a little bit of a short-term complex correction. Let's see how this one is going to go. If we tap inside this level, then definitely we can look for some sort of a shift to potentially go long. Ethereum, which is the other crypto that I trade and invest in, hasn't moved too much, still in this range. I still have this level to potentially put some more. Not all the profits that I made, just a little bit, because still I keep at the back of my mind that we can have another drop to the downside. But of course, as I keep telling you, we never know with crypto. But yes, we just fulfilled that weekly wick, which is pretty interesting. So this is why we're reacting from here, and also this daily supply. So definitely I would love to see a pullback on this one. I would love to see a pullback and then a potential change of structure, and then to potentially go long again. Because if you have a look at the range, exactly this little level resonates with the 50%. So I'm gonna be really loving it to actually buy Ethereum at a discount of 23%. Okay, so those are the cryptos, those are the indices, and this is how I'm gonna wrap up this video, guys. I really hope you got some value. Make sure to watch my trade setups breakdown video, and make sure that you like the video if you got some value. Leave a little comment. I always love seeing your comments. It's what keeps me going as well. And yes, I wish you a relaxing weekend, and I wish you a crushing week. Let's have an amazing September. And yes, if you have any questions, you know where to find me.